All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast covering all things Miami Heat. I'm Wes Goldberg. We're going to talk about Bam Adebayo today and the news that the Heat may have to consider including Bam Adebayo in any trade to get Kevin Durant. Now, this is on the heels of reports that the Brooklyn Nets have been asking the Heat to go find a third team in order to try to facilitate KD getting to Miami. And the reason for that is because of some arcane salary cap CBA rule that prevents Bam Adebayo and Ben Simmons from both playing for the Brooklyn Nets because they basically both signed these max rookie deals, and teams can't have two of those players that they acquired via trade. Okay, so that's the problem of sending Bam to Brooklyn. But if you get a third team involved and you reroute that team, Ben Simmons, and you send Bam to Brooklyn, then under CBA rules, you're at least able to get it done. Now, if you're the Heat, why would you ever include Bam Adebayo in a trade to begin with? Well, number one, obviously, the Brooklyn Nets have not been impressed enough with anything Miami has offered to trade them Kevin Durant. And according to Barry Jackson, initial offers have not included Bam Adebayo. So, based on that, we have to assume what? That the Heat offered Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, maybe Kyle Lowry for salary matching purposes, and like whatever first round picks that they could offer, 3 first round picks and pick swaps if they can do that. Maybe they included Nikola Jovic in that deal, who kind of counts as a first round pick this year, but not really. Maybe Brooklyn likes him, maybe they don't. I don't know. But you got to assume that whatever offer that is on Brooklyn's table now from the Heat is probably something like that and does not include Bam Adebayo, which again, reading between the lines here, if Brooklyn is asking for the Heat to try to get another team involved, you have to assume that what the player they want is not Tyler Herro if they're looking for a young kind of player to as a centerpiece in a Kevin Durant trade. They don't want Tyler Herro. They want Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo, obviously the better player. And so you would understand why that might be the player that they're looking for. Now, most people don't think that the Heat can get KD without offering Bam Adebayo. Listen to any national show, national podcast, whatever. Every time the Heat come up in terms of a Kevin Durant destination, they sort of just breeze by it because of the CBA rule that prevents Bam and Ben Simmons from playing for Brooklyn, and because they just simply don't think a Tyler Herro-based package is good enough to get anywhere in the ballpark to get Kevin Durant. So they're just breezing by any sort of Heat offers, and that's from league insiders, guys you could trust, Adrian Wojnarowski, Zach Lowe, guys who are plugged in on this stuff, don't really think that the Heat can get KD without including Bam in a deal. So with that said, look, we have discussed on this show the idea of including Bam Adebayo in a Kevin Durant trade. If the Brooklyn Nets came up to Miami right now and said, hey, we could figure out the Ben Simmons stuff, find another team to take Ben Simmons, if we can get Bam Adebayo in a deal, we at least have the framework to trade you Kevin Durant. If the Brooklyn Nets call you, if Sean Marks calls Pat Riley and says that, then you have to at least have a meeting about it, don't you? If you're the Miami Heat. So if you have that meeting, you kind of have to go through the pros and the cons of it, right? The case against trading Bam Adebayo and the case for trading Bam Adebayo if it means getting you Kevin Durant. So the case against trading Bam Adebayo, well, number one, he's 25 years old and he's 8 years younger than Kevin Durant. Durant wants to play with Bam Adebayo. That's the other part of this. Durant has long been a fan of Bam Adebayo's game. They got to know each other on Team USA. Kevin Durant in interviews after that Team USA experience asking question, hey, who impressed you the most out of all your Team USA teammates? Named one guy, one player, and he pointed to Bam Adebayo. Loved his work ethic, loved the way that he approached the game, loved playing with Bam Adebayo. And if you get rid of Bam, even if you get Kevin Durant, obviously an upgrade as a player, Kevin Durant, right? But if you trade Bam Adebayo, all of a sudden the defense behind Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler and whoever else is left on that roster, that defense is really shaky. That is a wobbly middle of the defense. You know, Dwayne Dedman, nice backup center. You'll still have Omer Yurtseven, presumably, whatever. You could kind of go that approach, but Bam Adebayo is the linchpin of that defense. And if you get rid of Bam, then you're asking a whole lot of Jimmy Butler at 32, Kevin Durant at 34 years old. Those might be your best two defenders. If you're able to keep Lowry, again, an older Kyle Lowry, all of your best defenders are over 32 years old. Like, that's not getting it done. And, that's a lot to put on them during the regular season and even more to put on them during the postseason. So I don't know if that defense is good enough. So that's the case against it is, all right, if we trade for Kevin Durant, if we trade Bam Adebayo for Kevin Durant, it gets really, really difficult to put a competitive roster around KD and Jimmy. As good as those two guys are, you're getting Kevin Durant not to get Kevin Durant, okay? If you're the Heat, you're getting Kevin Durant to win a championship. Is the roster that's left over after trading Bam and everything else it might take to get him, is that team good enough to win the championship? Because if it's not, then there's no point in doing the Kevin Durant trade. All right, the case for including Bam Adebayo. Well, you're getting a top 2 player in Kevin Durant, and I kind of wonder all this time, are we overthinking this? Are we overthinking this? We have seen Pat Riley in the past get the top end talent and then build around it. Hey, you found Max Strus, you found Omer Yurtseven, you found Gabe Vincent, you found back then Hassan Whiteside, Tyler Johnson. You keep finding guys. Who are we to say he can't do it again and somehow build a competitive enough roster? If you can get that top 2 player in Kevin Durant, who's coming off of a 30-point per game season almost. The injury history is there, but man, he is still, by any stretch, one of the best 2 players. It's him and Giannis, man. Like, those are the 2 best players in the league. You could tell me Nikola Jokic, you could tell me Steph Curry, all that kind of stuff. But when Kevin Durant is at his best, only him and Giannis are getting it done on both ends the way that they can. If you could keep Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler, and now you have Durant, Dwayne Dedmon, maybe you still have Max Strus, that is a really good starting lineup. You're still, by the way, going to have Victor Oladipo. Very talented player. He can't be included in that trade because he just signed a new contract. Can't get traded until later this year. So if you're going to make that Kevin Durant trade anytime soon, Victor Oladipo has to be still on the Miami Heat because he can't legally be included in the deal. You can have him coming off the bench. Okay, well, what if you're able to keep Tyler Herro? If you're the Heat and you're saying, listen, we'll trade you Bam Adebayo, but we're going to have to either keep some picks or keep Tyler Herro. If you're able to keep Tyler, then you still have at least one young player with the potential to make all-star games on the roster. Now, I don't know what it takes to get that deal done, but if you're able to include Tyler, if you're able to keep Tyler, the idea of parting with Bam does become a little bit easier. And look, you could fill the center position by committee. Again, looking at that, that potential starting lineup with Kevin Durant without Bam Adebayo, it's Dwayne Dedmon, it's Omer Yurtseven. You can go out and sign other free agent centers. You could fill that center spot by committee, and we've seen teams do that recently, where you're able to just sort of hodgepodge, patchwork the center spot as long as your wings are good enough. And if you have Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler, yeah, your wings are going to be good enough. Okay, and look, as good as Bam is, and as much as we love Bam Adebayo here, that's not a guy who we think is going to win an MVP in the NBA. He's not going to be an MVP caliber guy the way that Kevin Durant is. Everything I just said about KD, one of the top 2 players in the NBA, even at this stage in his career. Bam's never going to be that player. We don't think that he's good. We think Bam is an awesome player, perennial all-star, perennial defensive player of the year, super valuable, just incredibly valuable as a player. It's why the Nets want him in a deal. But he's never going to be Kevin Durant. He's never going to be one of the 15 greatest players of all time, right? And so some of this is, hey, are we just overthinking this a little bit? Sometimes you just have to say, hey, in a trade, if you're trading a player for a player and you're getting the best player, don't those teams, like 9 times out of 10, win the trade? Are we overthinking this a little bit? You have to think about it. So here's the bottom line. If maybe part of this is just overthinking it. Maybe if you're at the end of the day, if you're the Heat and you are this desperate for Kevin Durant, and it takes trading Bam Adebayo to do it, it at least will require a serious meeting. Again, Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald reporting that the Heat have not given Bam any indication that they would or would not include Kevin Durant, him in a Kevin Durant deal, and he has not sought that kind of validation from the front office. Okay, so we don't know where the Heat, where they will ultimately stand on the idea of including Bam on a KD trade. But according to that report, they have yet to include Bam in an official offer for Durant. But this is where we're going now. Kevin Durant, this Brooklyn Nets situation, it could last into the regular season if you believe some of the reporting around this. Now, I think that a lot of the reporting around this is coming from Brooklyn's side and is meant to basically create some sort of leverage over this situation, saying, hey, unless these offers get better, we're not going to trade Kevin Durant. We are prepared to go into the regular season and maybe even try to convince KD to come back. And now all you hear all this stuff about, hey, KD is a baller. He will never sit games the way that James Harden did, the way that Ben Simmons did. Like, that's just not what he does. We'll see. We'll see. If Kevin Durant really doesn't want to be there, I won't rule out him not playing there. I won't rule that out. I won't rule anything out at this point, including Miami offering Bam Adebayo if they really are that desperate for Kevin Durant. So we'll see where it goes. But right now, the Brooklyn Nets have the offers that they are going to get unless something changes. And these reports are basically to create some sort of change in the marketplace. They have offers from around the league, and we're hearing now that nobody is sort of presenting better offers to Brooklyn because they have had no reason to do that because nobody else in the NBA is offering something better, right? So the Miami Heat are probably sitting here right now with an offer on Brooklyn's desk of Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, and draft picks and whatever else, whatever other kind of stuff. All right, and they're just waiting for Phoenix to present a better offer than Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and whatever picks, right? They're probably just waiting. And let's say Phoenix does offer something better, okay? Let's say they offer Devin Booker, okay? They're not gonna, but just hypothetically for the sake of argument, let's just say they do that. Then Brooklyn then calls Miami and say, hey, we just got Devin Booker offered from Phoenix. Can you offer Bam Adebayo? What can you beat that offer? That's the sort of thing that would change on the marketplace in order to get Miami to offer Bam. On the other hand, if Miami wants to get something done soon and believe this reporting that Kevin Durant could just go into the regular season as a Brooklyn Net and that Brooklyn may just try to convince him to come back and say, you know what? I know that we didn't want Kyrie Irving here and that Kevin Durant requested a trade, but we're going to try to run it back anyway. Maybe that's the kind of thing on the marketplace that could create some urgency on Miami's part to include Bam Adebayo in a deal. And again, this is clearly what Brooklyn is trying to accomplish. If the Heat can offer Bam and keep Tyler Herro, or offer Bam and keep some amount of the first-round picks or something, where the offer is something that includes Bam Adebayo but does not include the entire future. You are not mortgaging your entire future for Kevin Durant, who is 34 years old and does have the injury history. I think if you're the Heat, you have to at least consider it. You might not have to do it, okay? You may not ultimately decide to include Bam Adebayo, but you have to consider it. I will draw the line at this if I'm the Miami Heat. If it's Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, and all the picks, you just can't do it. Bottom line, you can't do it. You can't mortgage your entire future on a 34-year-old Kevin Durant with that kind of injury history. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. It's totally irresponsible. And if it goes sideways, then you're left completely open, right, for you to end up in the lottery and lose your picks and not be able to rebuild. And it's the kind of decision that, yeah, on its face, you're getting Kevin Durant. But if you don't win a championship and Kevin Durant gets hurt and Jimmy Butler the end of Jimmy Butler's career doesn't look good, right? If he falls off a cliff a little bit, this could look really, really bad, and it could take you a decade at least to bounce back from it. So where I am on this, and where I think the Heat ultimately are, is that they'll probably just wait out this process. They'll probably just wait it out and wait for the Nets to get impatient, and maybe wait for Kevin Durant and or Kyrie Irving to maybe push that Nets front office to do something sooner rather than later. We also heard reports that Miami's players are in Kevin Durant's ear to maybe try to get something done. After the DeAndre Ayton stuff, I think that increases Miami's leverage in a potential Kevin Durant trade. I think that definitely helps their position, right? Because now that you can't include DeAndre Ayton in a deal, it gets a little bit tougher for Phoenix to best Miami's best offer. I don't know how this ultimately ends up, but I do think that the Heat, historically, have shown a willingness to stay patient. And the idea of trading Kevin Durant means, hey, if we get Kevin Durant, that means that we're going all in for a championship. I don't think you can go all in on a championship if it means parting with Bam Adebayo in order to acquire Kevin Durant. As good as KD is, I just don't think the Heat are good enough if it's KD, Jimmy Butler, aging superstars with a just average at best supporting cast around them. I just don't think that team is good enough. I think Bam Adebayo is the linchpin of that defense. I think he is more instrumental as a young player on that team than even Tyler Herro is. So if I'm the Heat, I like my offer of Tyler Herro draft picks. Maybe I can go out and facilitate another deal to get other draft picks with a third team if it means including Duncan Robinson or Kyle Lowry or something like that. But if it means including Bam Adebayo, I just don't know that a team with KD and Jimmy and without Bam is good enough to win the championship. And that's ultimately what trading for Kevin Durant is all about.